6 months after the destruction of the Valkyrie vessel, Earth had become a planet transformed. In secret facilities across the globe, human scientists worked around the clock to understand and reverse engineer every piece of alien technology they had recovered from the wreckage. The learning curve was steep, but humanity's greatest strength had always been its ability to adapt and improve upon the tools of others. Dr. Elena Rodriguez now led a team of 2,000 researchers in a facility that hadn't existed a year ago. The underground complex, built into a mountain in Colorado, housed the most advanced laboratory in human history. At its center sat the partially intact core of the alien ship's computer system, its crystalline structure slowly yielding its secrets to persistent human inquiry. "We've made another breakthrough," Dr. James Park announced as he entered the main laboratory. His hair had gone completely gray in the past months, but his eyes burned with the fervor of discovery. "The FTL drive principles are becoming clearer. It's not about faster-than-light travel in the traditional sense. They're actually folding space-time?" Rodriguez looked up from the alien weapon she was dissecting. "How long before we can build our own?" "Conservative estimate? 2 years for a basic prototype. 5 years for something reliable enough to reach another star system." Park paused, then added grimly, "But we need to assume we don't have that long." The sobering reality was that Earth's victory over the Valkyrie had only bought them time. Captain Zextar, now a prisoner but treated according to the Geneva Conventions, had been quite forthcoming about the structure of galactic civilization. Once he realized that cooperation was his only chance for survival, what he had revealed was both fascinating and terrifying. The Galactic Council consisted of 17 species, each controlling multiple star systems. The Valkyrie Empire was actually one of the smaller members, specializing in first contact operations and integration of primitive worlds. Their standard procedure had worked flawlessly for over 1,000 years. No species had ever successfully resisted initial contact. "The Council will send a full battle fleet," Zextar had explained during one of his many debriefing sessions. "When my ship fails to report in, they'll assume the worst. You have perhaps one of your years before they arrive with enough firepower to sterilize your entire planet." General Thompson, now promoted to Global Defense Commander, studied the intelligence reports that were streaming in from observatories across Earth. Humanity's space-based sensors had been dramatically upgraded using alien technology, and they could now detect ships approaching from light years away. "Any sign of them yet?" she asked Dr. Rodriguez during their weekly coordination meeting. "Nothing conclusive," the scientist replied. "But we're picking up some anomalous readings from the direction of the Valkyrie home system. Could be deep space phenomena, could be engine signatures from multiple large vessels." Thompson nodded grimly. "Then we proceed as planned. How's Project Prometheus coming along?" Project Prometheus was humanity's most ambitious undertaking ever. Using principles learned from the alien FTL drive, human engineers were building something that had never been attempted before: a network of weaponized space platforms capable of faster-than-light travel. The concept was brilliantly simple. Instead of building massive ships to fight the aliens in space, humans were constructing thousands of small, automated weapons platforms. Each one was equipped with a basic FTL drive, a nuclear warhead, and just enough intelligence to identify and target alien vessels. "Prometheus Alpha completed its first successful test yesterday," reported Colonel Hayes, who now commanded Earth's rapidly expanding Space Force. "FTL jumped to the asteroid belt, target acquisition on a test asteroid, successful detonation. The platform performed exactly as designed." "How many are ready for deployment?" Thompson asked. 57 operational platforms, with another 200 coming online each week. By the time the aliens arrive, we should have over 1,000 units ready for combat. The strategy was pure human thinking. Unable to match alien technology directly, they had instead created a weapon system that turned humanity's greatest weakness into a strength. The automated platforms were too small and numerous to effectively target with conventional weapons, but each one carried enough destructive power to cripple a large, Starship. Dr. Rodriguez had been studying captured Valkyrie, tactical manuals, and discovered a critical flaw in galactic military thinking. Most advanced civilizations fought wars with large, expensive vessels crewed by highly trained personnel. Losses were kept to a minimum because replacing ships and crew was costly and time-consuming. Humans had taken the opposite approach. The weapons platforms were cheap, mass-produced, and completely expendable. Even if the aliens destroyed 90% of them, the remaining 100 platforms would be more than enough to devastate a fleet. "There's something else?" Dr. Park added. "We've been analyzing the energy signatures from their destroyed ship, and I think we've discovered why they were so confident about their technological superiority." He activated a holographic display showing energy readings from the battle. "Look at these patterns. Their shields, their weapons, their propulsion systems, they're all incredibly efficient, but they're also incredibly predictable. Every system operates on the same basic harmonic frequencies." Thompson frowned. "Meaning?" "Meaning their technology has been optimized over thousands of years to work together perfectly. It's elegant, efficient, and completely standardized across their civilization." Park's smile was predatory. "It's also vulnerable to specific forms of interference." Rodriguez caught on immediately. "Harmonic disruption? If we can generate the right frequency patterns, we can shut down their systems remotely," Park confirmed. "Not permanently, but long enough to make them sitting ducks for our kinetic weapons." The breakthrough had led to the development of Project Pandora, a secondary weapon system designed to work in conjunction with the Prometheus platforms. Pandora devices were electromagnetic pulse generators tuned specifically to disrupt Valkyrie technology. As months passed, Earth continued its frantic preparations. Every nation had contributed resources to the global defense effort. Factories that had once built cars now manufactured weapons platforms. Universities that had studied theoretical physics now focused on practical applications of alien technology. The social changes were as dramatic as the technological ones. Humanity had united against an external threat in a way that had never been achieved before. Old rivalries and national boundaries remained, but they were secondary to species survival. "Contact," announced the technician monitoring the deep space arrays. Multiple large signatures dropping out of FTL at the edge of the solar system. In the command center, alarms began sounding as the displays updated with new information. 17 massive ships had appeared near Pluto's orbit, their energy signatures dwarfing anything Earth had previously detected. "Fleet composition analysis complete," reported the tactical officer. "One Valkyrie vessel, probably a replacement for the one we destroyed. The others are new configurations, different species, different technologies." Thompson studied the tactical display with cold calculation. "Size estimates? Flagship appears to be nearly 5 miles long. The smallest vessels are still larger than our biggest aircraft carriers. Total estimated crew complement, over 100,000 beings. Through intercepted communications, they learned that the Council fleet was led by Admiral Kethver of the Zenthari Empire, a species that specialized in military operations. Unlike Captain Zextar, Admiral Kethver was not interested in negotiations or demonstrations. He had come to eliminate a threat to galactic order. "People of Earth," came the transmission, broadcast simultaneously to every receiver on the planet. The alien that appeared on screens worldwide was vastly different from the insectoid Valkyrie. Kethver appeared almost reptilian, with scaled skin and predatory yellow eyes. "You have committed acts of aggression against a member species of the Galactic Council. Your resistance ends now." The alien admiral's message was cold and direct. "We will not repeat the errors of the previous expedition. Your planet will be sterilized to prevent future contamination of galactic civilization. You have 1 hour to contemplate your fate." Thompson opened a planetary broadcast channel. "This is Global Defense Command to all units. Operation Endgame is now active. All platforms to deployment positions. All Pandora devices to standby mode. Today, we show the galaxy that humanity will not go quietly into that good night." As the Council fleet began its approach toward Earth, They were unaware that they were flying into the most sophisticated trap in human history. Hidden throughout the solar system, over 1,200 Prometheus platforms waited in silent readiness. Their FTL drives were powered up, their targeting systems locked onto the approaching ships. "They're maintaining standard attack formation," observed the tactical officer. Large ships in a protective shell around the flagship, smaller escorts in screening positions. Thompson smiled grimly. "They're still thinking in terms of conventional space warfare. They have no idea what's coming." The first phase of humanity's counterattack began when the alien fleet reached Mars orbit. Pandora devices, hidden on asteroids and space debris throughout the inner solar system, activated simultaneously. The moment Captain Zextar's ship began charging its weapons for the second demonstration, every military asset on Earth moved with precision that would have impressed any galactic strategist. The submarines rose from the depths in perfect coordination, while satellite networks that the aliens had dismissed as primitive suddenly revealed their true purpose. "Target lock confirmed," reported Captain Sarah Mitchell from the USS Virginia, one of 10 nuclear attack submarines now positioned directly beneath the Valkyrie vessel. All tubes loaded and ready. The aliens had made a fatal assumption. They believed that any species capable of threatening them would necessarily possess advanced energy weapons and faster-than-light travel. The concept that a primitive civilization might pose a serious threat using kinetic weapons and conventional explosives was so foreign to their thinking that they hadn't even considered it. "Fire!" General Thompson commanded from her bunker, and the ocean erupted. 160 submarine-launched ballistic missiles broke the surface simultaneously, their nuclear warheads armed and tracking toward the alien vessel. At the same moment, every missile silo on Earth that could achieve orbital trajectory opened its doors. Captain Zextar watched his sensor displays with growing alarm as hundreds of primitive projectiles streaked toward his ship. "Defensive systems online." He barked, but the Valkyrie vessel had been designed to defend against energy weapons and advanced alien technology, not a massive swarm of nuclear-tipped missiles. The first wave struck the ship's shields with devastating effect. The defensive barriers, calibrated to deflect coherent energy beams and plasma charges, were completely overwhelmed by the sheer kinetic force and thermal energy of multiple nuclear detonations. Shield generators overloaded and exploded in cascading failures throughout the vessel. "Shields down to 30%. Screamed the tactical officer. "Multiple hull breaches on decks 7 through 12. But the humans weren't finished. As the alien ship reeled from the first assault, a second wave of missiles arrived from Earth's surface-based systems. ICBMs that had been built to deliver destruction across continents were now repurposed for humanity's first interplanetary conflict. Zextar felt his ship shudder as nuclear fire bloomed against its hull. The vessel's advanced armor held against some impacts, but the sheer volume of explosive force was beyond anything the designers had anticipated. These humans were attacking with the ferocity of a cornered animal, and their crude weapons were proving devastatingly effective. "Damage report," the captain demanded. "Multiple systems failures, sir," his chief engineer replied, mandibles clicking with stress. "Weapons array offline, propulsion down to 40%, life support systems damaged on 16 decks. We're venting atmosphere from the porthole breach." The irony was not lost on Dr. Rodriguez, who was monitoring the battle from NORAD. The aliens had vastly superior technology, but they had never faced an opponent that could match their capacity for violence. Every civilization they had encountered before had either surrendered immediately or possessed weapons advanced enough to engage in civilized warfare with energy shields and precision. Targeting, humans fought dirty. They used overwhelming force, multiple attack vectors, and weapons designed to cause maximum destruction rather than clean elimination of targets. The Valkyrie had brought a scalpel to a battle where humans brought sledgehammers. "Sir, incoming transmission from the surface," the Valkyrie communications officer reported. "General." Thompson's image appeared on the alien bridge's main screen again. But now there was smoke visible in the background and the sound of alarms could be heard. Captain Zextar, I trust you're beginning to understand your situation. You have seriously underestimated our species. Zextar's 4 eyes fixed on the human general with newfound respect and considerable fear. Your attacks are succeeding only because we were unprepared for such primitive brutality. This changes nothing. We represent the Galactic Council. Attack us, and you face the wrath of 17 civilizations. The general's smile was cold and predatory. Captain, you came to our world uninvited. You demanded our surrender and destroyed part of our planet as a threat. In human terms, that makes you an enemy combatant. We don't negotiate with terrorists. You don't understand, Zextar replied, his voice rising. We are offering you membership in a vast galactic community. The benefits to your species would be immeasurable. Under your terms, Thompson replied. Surrender our weapons, submit to your authority, restructure our governments according to your preferences. That's not membership, Captain. That's conquest with better marketing. As the conversation continued, human military forces were already adapting their strategy. The initial missile barrage had proven that the alien ship could be damaged, but it was far from destroyed. Conventional nuclear weapons alone wouldn't be enough to finish the job. Dr. Rodriguez, General Thompson said during a brief pause in the transmission, what's your assessment of their defensive capabilities now? Their shields are down and their armor is compromised, the scientist replied quickly. But that ship is massive. We need something with more focused destructive power to breach their main hull. Already. On it, replied Colonel Hayes. Operation Spear is moving into position. Operation Spear was humanity's most audacious military gambit in history. Using technology adapted from the International Space Station's docking systems, military engineers had rapidly modified 3 heavy-lift rockets to carry not satellites or scientific equipment, but kinetic kill vehicles loaded with shaped nuclear charges. The concept was simple but terrifying. Instead of detonating nuclear weapons near the alien ship and relying on thermal and electromagnetic pulse damage, these projectiles would physically penetrate the vessel's hull before detonating their warheads inside the ship itself. Captain Zextar, General Thompson continued, you seem to believe that your technological superiority makes you invulnerable. You're about to learn why that's a dangerous assumption. 3 rockets launched simultaneously from different points around the globe, their trajectories calculated to converge on the alien vessel from multiple angles. Unlike the earlier missile barrage, these were precision strikes designed to maximize internal damage. Captain Zextar watched the approaching projectiles with growing horror. His weapon systems were still offline from the nuclear bombardment, and his ship's mobility was severely compromised. The humans had effectively crippled his vessel in the span of minutes using nothing more than primitive chemical explosives and kinetic force, evasive maneuvers. He ordered, but the massive dreadnought could barely manage a slow turn with its damaged propulsion systems. The first kinetic kill vehicle struck the ship's command section, its shaped charge punching through the compromised armor like a spear through paper. The nuclear warhead detonated inside the vessel's primary computer core, sending waves of destruction through the ship's central nervous system. The second projectile hit the main reactor compartment. The resulting explosion didn't just damage the ship's power systems. It created a feedback loop that overloaded energy conduits throughout the vessel. Fires erupted on dozens of decks as backup systems failed and emergency protocols activated. The third strike was the most devastating. It penetrated the ship's ammunition storage area, where the Valkyrie kept their own energy weapons and explosive devices. The secondary explosions that followed were visible from Earth's surface as the alien vessel's hull buckled and split. Catastrophic damage across all systems, reported the chief engineer, his voice barely audible over the sound of alarms and emergency announcements. Reactor containment failing, life support critical, structural integrity compromised. Sir, we need to evacuate immediately. Captain Zextar stared at his ruined bridge in disbelief. In less than an hour, these primitive humans had reduced his state-of-the-art warship to a burning wreck. Everything he had been taught about galactic warfare, about the superiority of advanced civilizations, about the natural order of technological evolution had been shattered by creatures who still use chemical rockets and nuclear fission. Sir, escape pods are launching automatically, his tactical officer reported. The computer is abandoning ship. Open a channel to the surface, Zexstar ordered. His pride finally broken by the reality of his situation. General Thompson's image appeared on what remained of the ship's communication systems. Behind her, the sounds of celebration could be heard as Earth's military forces realized they had achieved the impossible. General Thompson, Zexstar began, his voice heavy with defeat, I request terms of surrender. The human general studied the alien captain for a long moment. Captain, you came here expecting to find a species of sheep ready for slaughter. Instead, you found wolves. That was your first mistake. We underestimated your capacity for violence, Zexstar admitted. No, Thompson replied sharply. You underestimated our capacity for survival. There's a difference. You see, Captain, every species you've encountered before was probably content with their little corner of the galaxy. They were happy to trade independence for security. She leaned forward, and Zexstar could see the predator's gleam in her eyes that had unsettled him earlier. Humans aren't like that. We're a species that conquered our own planet before we could even leave it. We've been killed. Captain Zexstar of the Galactic Council fleet stared at the blue-green planet through the viewport of his command ship. Earth hung in space like a jewel, beautiful and seemingly peaceful. The Valkyrie commander's 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he studied the intelligence report scrolling across his neural interface. Fascinating, he murmured to his second-in-command. Lieutenant Mordock, these humans appear to be such a young species. Only 10,000 years of recorded civilization. Most council races had achieved faster-than-light travel by that age. The lieutenant's tentacles writhed with amusement. Indeed, Captain. Their technology is primitive by our standards. Chemical rockets, basic nuclear fission, crude electromagnetic communications. They haven't even established permanent colonies on their own moon yet. Zexstar nodded, his confidence growing. The Valkyrie Empire had been tasked by the Galactic Council to assess this newly discovered species for potential inclusion in their cosmic alliance. Standard procedure involved a simple demonstration of superior technology, followed by peaceful negotiations. Most species readily accepted the benefits of joining the galactic community once they understood the advantages. Begin the approach, Zexstar ordered. Deploy the standard first contact protocol. A small show of our capabilities should be sufficient to establish our technological superiority. The massive Valkyrie dreadnought, nearly 2 miles long and bristling with energy weapons, began its descent toward Earth's atmosphere. Zexstar felt certain this would be another routine integration. After all, what could a species barely capable of leaving their own planet possibly do against the might of a civilization that had conquered 17 star systems? On Earth, the sudden appearance of the alien vessel sent shockwaves through every government and military installation on the planet. Deep Space Monitoring Station Alpha 7 was the first to detect the massive energy signature dropping through the outer atmosphere. Sir, we've got something big incoming, radar operator Sarah Chun called out to her commanding officer. It's huge, sir. Bigger than anything we've ever built. Colonel Marcus Hayes grabbed his secure phone and began making calls that would wake up presidents, prime ministers, and generals across the globe. Within minutes, every military satellite was tracking the alien craft as it settled into a stable orbit above the Pacific Ocean. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the world's leading xenobiologist, despite never having had an actual alien to study, found herself hastily assembled with the world's brightest minds. In an emergency session at NORAD, the implications were staggering. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and their visitors possessed technology that made Earth's most advanced systems look like stone tools. Based on the energy readings we're detecting, Dr. Rodriguez explained to the assembled military leaders, this vessel could probably glass half our planet without much effort. We need to approach this very, very carefully. General Patricia Thompson, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, studied the satellite feeds showing the alien ship. Any signs of hostile intent so far? None that we can detect, replied Dr. James Park, the mission's chief physicist. But then again, when you're dealing with technology this advanced, would we even recognize a weapons lock until it was too late? Meanwhile, aboard the Valkyrie ship, Captain Zextar was reviewing Earth's response to their arrival. His tactical officer was monitoring human communications, easily breaking through their primitive encryption systems. Captain, the humans appear to be mobilizing their military forces, reported the tactical officer, his voice carrying a hint of amusement. They're attempting to scan us with their crude detection systems. Zextar's mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among his species. How quaint. Let them look. Perhaps seeing our superiority will make the integration process smoother. The captain pulled up holographic displays showing Earth's military capabilities. Kinetic projectile weapons, primitive guided missiles, basic energy weapons that were barely more advanced than focused light beams. Their most powerful weapons appeared to be fusion devices that could level cities. But the Valkyrie had faced civilizations with far more impressive arsenals. Sir, the communications officer reported, we're receiving multiple transmission attempts from the planet's surface. Various languages, but the universal translator is having no difficulty parsing their meaning. They're requesting we identify ourselves and state our intentions. Excellent, as Zextar replied. Open a channel. Let's begin the standard first contact protocols. The transmission that went out to Earth was broadcast simultaneously to every major population center on the planet. The image that appeared on screens worldwide was both alien and somehow familiar. Captain Zextar's elongated skull, 4 compound eyes, and mantis-like mandibles marked him as clearly non-human, but there was an unmistakable intelligence and dignity in his bearing. People of Earth, the captain began. His words automatically translated into hundreds of human languages. I am Captain Zextar of the Valkyrie Empire, representative of the Galactic Council. We come in peace to offer your species membership in our cosmic alliance. The reaction across Earth was immediate and intense. In some places, panic. In others, celebration. Religious leaders debated the theological implications while scientists scrambled to understand the technology that made such clear communication possible across vast distances. Your species shows promise, Zextar continued, though your technological development remains primitive by galactic standards. We offer to share our knowledge, our technology, and our protection in exchange for your world's resources and your people's integration into our civilization. In the NORD Command Center, Dr. Rodriguez felt a chill run down her spine. Something about the alien's tone, despite the mechanical translation, suggested this wasn't entirely a request. The process is simple, the captain explained. You will surrender your weapons of mass destruction as a sign of good faith. Your governments will cede authority in matters of interplanetary significance to council representatives. Your military forces will be restructured under our guidance to serve the greater galactic good. General Thompson's jaw tightened. That's not a partnership offer. That's a surrender demand. The transmission continued. We understand this may seem overwhelming to your young civilization. To demonstrate our capabilities and encourage cooperation, we will begin with a small display of our technological supremacy. Please observe. The alien ship's weapon systems came online with power readings that made every detector on Earth scream warnings. A beam of pure energy lanced down from orbit, striking an uninhabited island in the Pacific. In seconds, the entire landmass simply ceased to exist, vaporized into its component atoms. We await your response, Captain Zextar concluded. You have 1 rotation of your planet to announce your acceptance of our terms. The transmission ended, leaving Earth in stunned silence, back aboard the Valkyrie vessel. The crew was already preparing for what they assumed would be a swift capitulation. Most primitive species needed little more than a demonstration of superior firepower to see reason. Sir, the tactical officer reported, human communication traffic has increased exponentially. They appear to be coordinating some kind of response. Zextar wasn't concerned. Standard reaction. They're probably arguing among themselves about the terms of surrender. Some species take longer to accept reality than others. What the captain didn't understand was that the intense communication traffic wasn't about surrender negotiations. Every military leader, intelligence agency, and scientific institution on Earth was sharing information with unprecedented cooperation. Decades of international rivalries were set aside in the face of an existential threat to the entire species. In bunkers and command centers across the globe, humanity's greatest military minds were studying every scrap of data about their visitors. The energy signatures, the ship's construction, the weapons demonstration, even the captain's biometrics from the transmission. Everything was being analyzed, cataloged, and weaponized. They made one critical error, General Thompson said during an encrypted video conference with military leaders from every major nation. They gave us 24 hours to respond. They obviously don't understand what our species can accomplish when we're united by a common threat. Dr. Rodriguez had been studying the energy patterns from the alien weapons. The beam that destroyed the island generated approximately 15 terawatts of focused energy. That's massive, but it's not beyond our understanding of physics. More importantly, the charge time before firing was nearly 30 seconds. That's an eternity in combat terms. What are you thinking, Doctor? Asked General Chunwei of the People's Liberation Army. I'm thinking, she replied, that these aliens have been dealing with civilizations that surrender when faced with superior technology. They're not prepared for a species that fights back. Colonel Hayes had been coordinating with submarine commanders around the globe. Our attack subs are already positioning themselves beneath their ship. If these aliens are as arrogant as they appear, they won't be expecting threats from below. The question is, General Thompson said, do we really want to start an interplanetary war with a civilization that can vaporize islands? General, Dr. Rodriguez said quietly, I've been studying their ship design and energy patterns. I think the